Today on the tech, Apple's acting out again, good guy Verizon's waiving some billing, geek culture and more. Coming up.
Where'd that voice come from, Wendell?
I don't know.
There must be some reason for this.
Do we have a new sponsor? No, I don't think we do.
No, we don't. But oh, look at that fizz. This is for you guys out there. That's reasonably good. It's really hoppy, Max. Okay, let's talk about some things today, shall we? Hand it back when you're done. Just take a little bit. I'm thirsty. Our posters are in the store, so you guys can erase the world while you're teching on your tech thing. And they're pretty cool. We also have our I Don't Party shirts. Stop drinking it all.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Give me that thing. Stop it!
This is why we can't have nice things.
Can we see the label there? They gave us $4 in free beer to put it on the show. No, they didn't really. We're not sponsored by anybody. Have you guys heard about the whole Elric and Motherboards.org nonsense? This is making all kinds of headlines around the world. And, you know, Elric is really upset. 20 years ago, he created Motherboards.org. I've been to his website a gazillion times and read some of his reviews. And, of course, you know he has the Motherboards.org YouTube channel. And here's what he did. He made a deal with Channel Pro. And Channel Pro is one of these marketing companies that comes in and they were like, hey, dude, we're going to develop your website and all this stuff. You guys can watch this video because I'm going to link it. But essentially what happened was the marketing guy screwed him over, didn't pay him what they said, they didn't develop his website, and then when he finally confronted the guy, they fired the guy. So it's kind of interesting. Here he is talking about it.
20 years ago, I formed the website motherboards.org. After that, I developed the YouTube channel and all of these businesses. Now, however, it is true that Channel Pro did buy the rights to the website and some of the rights to my YouTube channel. But what's gone on is completely wrong. Me and Jonathan, my partner, signed a contract with these guys 3 years ago to develop the motherboards.org website, help the business, and build the business. This has never happened. Michael Siggins, the leader of Channel Pro, bought the business, violated the contract, by never developing the website. All my contacts in the industry were mine as an independent contractor to call and do business with. Michael Siggins began calling my contacts and telling my contacts that they had no right to deal with me directly on motherboards.org. We caught Michael Siggins embezzling money from us. We're entitled to 10% of all monies generated by the YouTube site, and Mr. Siggins began robbing us on this money, taking money from Intel and not sharing that money with us. The only thing that I did at all was confront Mr. Siggins and ask Mr. Siggins, why is this happening to me and Jonathan?
Like, if they didn't pay him, how did they assume ownership? That's crazy.
Well, you know, I signed with a marketing company a few years ago, and they almost destroyed the website. Actually, they did destroy the website back when we had Raise the World. It was completely destroyed by Giant Realm up in New York City. They started this Game Riot thing, and they just put us into this Game Riot thing. It was a mess. They were like, yeah, man, you guys are going to make so much money, but the contract was terrible. They basically just owned everything, and I was stupid because I was all excited because they were saying, like, dude, you guys are going to make $10 per 1,000 people on the website. And I was like, really? Really? We made about 20 cents. That was what we calculated it to at the end. We made about 20 cents per 1,000. Right now on our website, we're making, like, a lot more than that, so per 1,000. So we're much happier now. But one thing, you know, Elric seems pretty, you know, like down in this video. He said it's the worst day of his life, the worst thing that's ever happened to him. I want to say this to you, Elric, right now. Dude, things are going to be okay because people do not stand for garbage like this. So whenever something like this happens, do exactly what you did. Post your video. A lot of people are going to subscribe to you. It's now Tech Tomorrow, so all the best, dude. This is going to spread all over the internet, and you're going to be even more well-known now than you were before. So screw those marketing guys and have fun. If you need anything, let us know. We got your back. And that's what I wanted to say there. So,
I think Paul tweeted about it too.
Yeah, well, Paul actually sent me a private tweet saying, dude, did you hear about this? I mean, all day today, everyone's like, have you heard about Elric? So that's pretty cool. I mean, dude, we've got your back. Like, the industry has your back. We don't have any time for these sociopathic, you know, scumbag marketers. Scumbag marketers.
Send us a manifest and we'll airdrop some supplies.
Indeed. All right. Oh, this is kind of interesting. Ready to do the fast news? Here's some fast news. So Apple is censoring the drone war. They got like an app, right? Somebody made an app, and the app just basically shows, you know, whenever there's a news article that says, hey, there was a drone strike in Yemen, hey, there was a drone strike in Pakistan, hey, there was a drone strike in Georgia that killed like a family of 4 or whatever. Whenever one of those things happen, it pulls the headlines and it puts dots on a map. Simple app. Do you think that should go into the App Store?
Oh yeah, I think that's not against the terms of service.
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. Well, Apple denied it. And now there's a petition online, so I'm going to put a link up to that petition. They said it was objectionable and crude. Meanwhile, Apple has made a couple $1 million over the last couple of years doing things for the Department of Defense. So, conflict of interest right there? I don't know.
It's the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules.
Indeed. Speaking of this stuff, yeah, Apple is now suing Google. But they've been suing, Samsung and all that stuff for the Galaxy Note. They've been upset. Now they've actually added Google into this. So things are getting heated because Google's suing them, Motorola's suing Apple. Apple is just like in so many lawsuits. I'm not sure how long they can keep this up, but now they've just added Google to this because of Android 4. They're saying that Android 4 itself infringes on a lot of their patents. So
I thought the language in there was interesting in that they basically admitted that the Samsung lawsuit was really about functionality that Google brought to the table.
Yeah, which is kind of shocking. They've been trying to patent the rectangle with rounded corners, and they've finally been given a patent for a rectangle. There you see it, as The Verge reports, with rounded corners. There it is. They own that patent.
Oh, the patent case that we reported on last week?
Yes.
Where the judge was like, hey, will you take, if I rule on this, will you take it? It's basically like a pre-patent thing, and Apple went to the judge and said, look, we were willing to pay up to $1 per device.
This is, if someone's just joining us and missed it last week, this is for the Motorola business, where Motorola was suing Apple for some technology related to LTE and 4G or LTE, right?
Yeah, and Google owns this part of Motorola now.
And Apple is just like, they have no defense other than like, yeah, we've been using that technology. There's another gnat in here. I got him though.
Well, this was pre-trial, yeah. But the judge was like, why are you asking me to rule on this, Apple? What's up with this? This is crazy. And he said, well, if I do rule on this, will you do what I say? Right. And the Apple lawyers apparently actually said, only if you say that it's $1 per device or less. If you say it's $1 per device or less, we'll comply, but if it's more than that, we won't comply. And the judge was like, okay, how about you guys just deal with it on your own? I'm out of here. See ya.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
Like, who tells who what to do? The Apple tells the court what to do?
Well, it wasn't really the appropriate time for them to ask for that, so I thought it was kind of interesting that the judge seemed to know what's up, and it seemed like he was kind of trolling Apple a little bit.
Yeah. Their patent is for rectangle with rounded corners. It's as simple as it gets. There it is on the table. And this patent is so broad that it's going to be almost impossible to deal with in court. I mean, I don't see anything happening with that.
I hope this is like the reality is that it's like the patent on the iMac. And so they've got patents that are on like the look and feel of the iMac. And it's just like the physical enclosure, right, so nobody can clone it. I hope that's how that's enforced.
Yeah, the only way it's going to be enforced is if someone makes an identical to the millimeter clone, like everything else.
One would hope.
Yep. So last week we mentioned that Time Warner was being a good guy up in New York and helping people out with their mobile hotspots down in Lower Manhattan and also places they could charge their phone. And now Verizon is being a good guy because of Hurricane Sandy. They have waived wireless bills, or they've waived billing for a lot of the customers that have been affected by the storm, which is really cool. So like, hey, this month your life is hell, your house burned down, things have gone to shit. You guys don't have to pay us. So that's pretty cool of Verizon. It's kind of interesting to see two companies that have this evil side, like doing the whole 6 strikes nonsense, also being a good guy. Are they doing this for just the PR, or do they actually care about the people? What do you think?
Totally a PR move.
Yep, I think so too. But there is another company that I think is doing it for a good reason, and that's Airbnb. Now, Airbnb, if you've been traveling lately, maybe you know about Airbnb. It's a new service online where you can look for people who have an extra room in their house, and instead of staying in an expensive hotel, you can rent out that extra room, and there's tons of reviews. Like I stayed with a really cool couple in Cincinnati. The girl was she's in charge of the Libertarian Party of Ohio. She was out of town on business. I think she was in Vegas at a Libertarian convention, and the guy is a chemist who also is a microbrew guy. He gave us an awesome Imperial Stout, but it's a really good way to meet people. So I recommend Airbnb. But what Airbnb is doing up in New York is they are offering people a free place to stay. And they're giving people, if you guys have a place to stay, and you live in New York, Manhattan, Queens, somewhere like that, even Jersey, whatever, anywhere in that entire area that's been affected by Hurricane Sandy, you can go on there. And if you go to airbnb.com/Sandy, you can say, hey, I need a place to stay, or you can say, I'd like to offer a place. So you guys can host somebody. And it's a really, I found it to be pretty safe as long as you find people who have reviews. The people will go in there and say, like, oh, this guy murdered me with an axe. Don't stay there. If they say this guy did not murder me with an axe and gave me free awesome beer, like that he made himself, and gave us some cool tips about where to hang out in the city, maybe that's a good place to stay. So definitely want to give a plug to Airbnb. They are being a good website. You got something to say over there. You're like,
well, I had an experience with something like that once, and his name was
Craigslist.
Yeah.
No. Whose idea was it? Like, we're gonna go out of town, and let's use Craigslist instead of a hotel.
No, you don't even know. You don't
Do you
even
want to hear
know.
this?
It's his name was Jarl.
Jarl?
Jarl.
Like he's the king on the mountain or something?
I think it was like a Germanic Carl or something, but it was pronounced Jarl.
Jarl, did he sit on a throne?
That was when I learned that you can't just have one pant. Like pants is singular.
You can have a pant?
Yeah, it was like half a pair of pants.
Like the left or the right half, right?
Yeah. Like you can just have one.
Just put my pant on.
Yeah.
Max, you need to bring pant into style. You need to start wearing pant.
Or maybe it was like shorts on one side and pants on the other. I don't know.
That's a little bit too 80s for me. Speaking of websites being good.
It's a little bit too psycho for me. I mean, honest to God.
Speaking of psycho, Facebook has been reading your personal messages and then liking things on your behalf based on the things that you say in your personal messages. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's okay. But no, it is not okay. It is not okay. I guess they're doing this in an effort to, give more likes to cool things. They're like, oh, this person talks about this company a lot. Let's go ahead and like it for them. What?
Well, it's more insane than that. We may have been paid to write a script to message two people back and forth in Facebook because every time you talk about something, it counts as another like.
And you may have been hired by an outside company to do something like this.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because, like, if you send, 5,000 messages from account A to account B, then company X will rack up 5,000 likes.
Yep.
Because that should work that way.
So you're telling me if I just go online and message people, I'll get more likes?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Anyway, the one thing that's kind of creepy about this is a lot of times your conversations are private. Let's say you're on there talking about, like, I don't know, something involving midgets and plungers. And all of a sudden, you've got some likes on midget plunger websites that you're not too fond of.
The Facebook, I think, responded to this a couple of weeks ago when it first came out and said that the likes do happen, but they're anonymous, which is why you can like the same thing more than once, supposedly.
Some good news here. The voters, there were like 23 representatives that were up for re-election, and 3 of those, or the 23 that were for SOPA, they work with Hollywood for all this garbage, and 3 of them have been voted out, so now there's 3 gone, 20 to go. So good job, guys, for voting those guys out. I'm not going to get into the election at all.
There was an election?
Yeah, I think it was Cthulhu versus Megatron. I was reading Fark, and
yeah,
I think was it Megatron or Cthulhu that won? I forgot.
I don't. I don't know.
I forgot which one is which. I think it was Cthulhu that won.
Huh.
Yeah, Cthulhu beat Megatron this week. So, yeah, well, Megatron was, I don't know, he was just as bad, but different kind of bad, and he didn't like, women or people of different, never mind.
I really like the Douglas Adams thing. It's like, well, why do they keep electing a lizard? It's like, well, you got to make sure that the right kind of lizard doesn't get elected. Or the wrong kind of lizard doesn't get elected.
That's what happened, yeah. MasterCard, soon they're going to have LCDs and touch buttons, touch-sensitive buttons. How about that? So now you can get like information on your MasterCard, like it'll tell you your balance or how many points you have racked up and all that kind of nonsense. And
great, it's another thing that can get malware.
Oh, I got this malware on my credit card, help! Yes, I think it's a great idea, MasterCard. You guys do that. Please do that. It's a wonderful idea. Because I can't do any of those things on my phone. With your MasterCard app.
If RSA can't secure WoW accounts, we're screwed.
Yes. Let's talk about this whole fiasco that's going on right now with Razer. People on the internet are going crazer.
Crazer for Razer.
Crazer for Razer. This is... Anyway, people are going crazy about the quote-unquote always-on DRM scheme that Razer has with their mouses. And what's happening here is they have a new unified driver set that works for all their devices called Synapse 2.0. And if you want to use Synapse 2.0, you have to have a connection to the internet, and it will store all of your configs in the cloud. Now, you can just plug your mouse in and not use any drivers, just use the standard Windows drivers, and you won't have to deal with any of that stuff. But all their future devices will only use that, and you'll have to connect to the cloud at least once every time you plug it in if you want to take advantage of your configs. Here's where everything gets out of hand. People are freaking out because the EULA basically says that they're allowed to do almost anything they want with your data. It's sort of a standard verbiage because someone else pointed out that this exact verbiage was in the Steam Terms of Service. But it says that they can, monitor what you're doing and all that sort of thing, which is kind of scary when you think about it for both of those platforms. But this is standard copy and paste garbage that's in this, and people are freaking out about it. So There's a link to a thread here on overclockers.net with some updates and about a gazillion posts. So take a look at that. And then there is a Penny Arcade actually called up Razer and said, hey, what's going on here? Razer said, listen, guys, we are not doing anything with your data other than keeping your configs in the cloud. That's all we're doing. And then the guy from Razer also went on to say that if you guys have a problem with it, just don't use our drivers. Just plug it in and use the standard Windows drivers, which would kind of defeat the purpose of getting a Razer. You may as well get a Zowie because those mouses are designed to not use drivers.
Yeah, you couldn't program the buttons and stuff, which is a problem.
Yeah.
Razer's going to have to fix that in their implementation. Like, the way that the programmer should have done it is have a local INI file that can be synced to the cloud, but if not, no big deal.
Yeah, that's what it does on a lot of different services. It'll be like, hey, we can't sync to the cloud, so we're just going to save it locally. So Razer, that's the one thing you got to do. The number two thing you got to do, I know that's sort of a generic EULA thing that you got in there with the terms of service. Just change it. Everybody will be happy, and nobody will yell anymore. So 2 things. That's it. Call us. We'll do it for you. Well, Linda, you'll take care of this, right?
Yeah, this really would not be a big deal.
Yeah, we take care of this in like 30 minutes. I mean, we'll take us all day, but we'll charge you for all day. It may take us 30 minutes. But all right, we're going to talk about Apple for just a few minutes because there's all kinds of things going on, and it's not just Apple. It's Apple and several other companies and the world in general, okay? So first off, we're going to talk about Apple and the rumored switch from Intel to ARM-based processors. Now, a lot of people are saying like in the next, 6 or 7 years? How long until this happens? Like 2017 or something?
Yeah,
it's a rumor right now.
Yeah, because of like Bloomberg and a bunch of other people were speculating that Apple may do another CPU architecture switch because they've done that in the past and blah blah blah.
And they're also saying that the Apple engineers may be able to develop an ARM chip in the future, in the next few years that is powerful enough that they will not need x86 any longer for their desktops and for their laptops.
Yeah, they're really proud of themselves for doing some slightly custom things in the iPhone 5.
Hey, we took an ARM A8 processor and we made it red. It's custom.
Yeah, that's really. They did some custom stuff, but
it's about like that. Yeah. So anyway, that's probably nonsense. Your idea earlier that you said where they may just what was it? They may just take both processors and keep them together. Or,
yeah. What I see them doing here is wouldn't it be cool if you had the App Store on your Mac and rather than trying to run like an ARM emulator on an Intel, which just wastes power. I mean, have you seen the motherboard inside an iPad? It's tiny.
Yeah.
Just put that in a MacBook. And then
you're saying that a MacBook, the new OS is going to be more like Windows 8.
Well, the MacBook, you still have like an Intel processor, but there's no reason you couldn't have iOS in the App Store on the MacBook. I mean,
right.
Retina resolution and blah, blah, blah.
And that's money in Apple's pocket. So that's probably what's going to happen. And everybody else needs to be quiet. So Apple has just lost a patent lawsuit against a patent troll. It's Vernet X. I don't know how you say their name. It's ridiculous. Anyway, Vertex, they have some VPN technology that they say what Apple was using in FaceTime, and they just won $368 million, which is kind of hilarious because Apple deserved it because they're being complete douchebags all over the country.
But they're kind of also patent trolls.
But yeah, we are going to say that Vertex is a patent troll because it's pretty ridiculous. It's another one of those cases. They've sued Microsoft in one. They've sued Apple in one. They're in a lawsuit with Google right now. And these guys do not make a lot of money on their own. Like the first half of 2012, they made $36,000 on their own. So, yeah, patent troll thing's out of hand.
Honestly, we probably wouldn't have even mentioned it except for that there's a really hilarious line. Like they put one of like Joe, random developer from inside Apple on the stand, and it was like, now Tom, you did you go over patents when you were developing this? And it was like, gee willikers, we didn't look at any patents. We just sort of ran with it. And it was like, oops.
Yeah, but that's been the headline in a lot of places, and they're kind of ignoring the fact that this is a patent troll case. A lot of people are so ready to slap Apple in the face right now because there's a lot of animosity towards the way Apple's been dealing with everybody and every company, and even their customers are now they've become resources instead of the way it used to be where they were kind of hooking up their customers with the best products.
I suspect that they're patent trolls, but I have the slightest hesitation. But when it comes down to it, I mean, we saw video phones, in 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Honestly, that technology's out of the box.
Yeah, it really is. And I would have to see each patent side by side, but it really does look like a patent troll case.
Yeah, it really does.
All right, moving along then. So the Galaxy S3 beat the Apple iPhone in Q3, which is interesting.
Because the iPhone 5 is not as good?
Well, that's one reason, but I think the real reason is because all the attention that's on this. And a lot of people would not have even been talking about the Samsung Galaxy S3. I know a lot of people who have switched from Apple, from the iPhone to the Galaxy S3, And it's a lot of it's because of the press, because they look at it and they're like, they see all the court stuff going on, and they're like, huh, what's so good about this S3? And then they look at it and they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm going to get one of those.
And then they see Apple acting like petulant children, not apologizing.
Why the company I love is on the floor kicking and screaming right now and tearing their clothing. So they go with the Galaxy S3, and that's just what's happening right now, which is kind of funny. So, but that's what I think. So anyway, some people are saying that it's all downhill now from Apple. It's on BGR.com. And there's a few other websites that have been just saying that, it's over for Apple, even though Apple is posting record profits this year.
They're still down from their peak of like $700 a share.
Well, the other problem is that right now is that Wall Street has been causing a lot of problems for Apple, because Wall Street is projecting these astronomical numbers that Apple cannot reach. And because of that, they're down like over $100 billion. Like, that's what their stock is done. It's like...
Oh, down in market cap?
Yeah, down in market cap. Over 100, it's like 100 and... Let me see if I can find the actual number. I think it's like $130 billion in market value. That's how far down they are now, because, I mean, they're doing really well. They're making a lot of money, but they're down because of Wall Street. Because Wall Street's saying, hey, they should be here, and they only got to here. And it's made their stock tank like 20%.
Seems pretty silly.
21% since last September. It's absolutely absurd. I mean, it is going to be all downhill right now from Apple, because they don't seem to have the roadmap that they used to have when Steve Jobs was alive. They don't seem to be innovating like they were when Steve Jobs was alive. They need a regime change right now. Tim Cook and the guys are just suing everyone, and they're not innovating. So that's why it's going to be all downhill from here.
Well, they are following Steve Jobs' dying wish of spend $1 billion on litigation.
Yeah, man was on his deathbed. He obviously didn't know what he was talking about. They need to move on. Have you seen the time?
It's rant 29 and 53, 54. Okay, it's rant 30.
Any guess who we're talking about this week in rant 30?
Microsoft?
Yeah, not Apple. It's Microsoft. So Microsoft, a new patent surfaced, and some of the guys over, I think it was GeekWire, they spotted this patent. Now, this is kind of interesting, because this is the way the industry's been going for a long time, and everyone is surprised at this patent. But here's what it does. It allows them to monitor the people in the room, and monitor you using a Kinect or a webcam. So let's say you're sitting in the living room. It will count the people. It will sort of take, the size and the shape of the people into account. It can monitor the alertness. It can say, hey, this is a child. So little people are going to be really angry about this, because Microsoft's going to look at like a little person and be like, that's a child. You can't watch this X-rated movie. And I'm like, oh, I'm little. I want to watch it. Let me watch it. I'm 37. Come on. That's what's going to happen with this whole thing. Anyway, the reason they're really doing this is because they want to monitor how many people are in the room. And let's say, you're watching a movie. Well, they only want like 4 people watching that movie, and if a 5th person walks into the room, they can pause the playback and then allow, whatever company is streaming that movie to take appropriate action. Whether it's, like, hey, if you want to keep watching this movie, you're going to have to pay an extra $5 to pay for the extra license, because there's too many people in there, and it's going to be copyright infringement if that other person is allowed to watch it.
And if you don't believe us, we have an article from 2007 that the NFL lost their damn mind and was proposing exactly this.
Before we get to that, because that is very important, the whole NFL thing, there's a lot of people who are like, what? But that's what I've been talking about. This has been going this way for years and years. Some people are like, hey, you can just put a piece of tape over it, or you can just... No, they won't give you the content. Don't you understand? It's going to be built into TVs. I'm just predicting the future here. It's going to be built into TVs. It's going to be built into everything you buy, and it's going to be licensed based on what the information that they get from the webcam or the Kinect.
It's already happened with Blu-ray. There are certain Blu-ray movies out there that won't let you play until they connect to the internet and update the firmware in your Blu-ray player.
So the NFL, you can go into this. This is ridiculous.
This is from like 2007. It's a Tech Dirt article. But I remember it. It sticks out in my head as one of those things that causes an aneurysm if you think about it too long. But the NFL was cautioning people that if they have a television over 55 inches, that could be considered a public performance and they should stop. And I think they were harassing a church.
Yeah, the church was going to do a Super Bowl party, and they're like, well, number one, you're using the word Super Bowl party. Super Bowl, you can't do that. It's copyright infringement, because people may associate the church with the NFL, because the public is stupid, obviously, and it's over 55 inches. So they don't want the quote unquote campfire experience. They want to control that. They don't want to let you sit around with tons of people and just hang out and watch a movie. That's not what they want. They want money from each person that consumes the content.
This is what happens when we as citizens allow sociopaths to run these companies.
I mean, the logical thing would be, hey, you know what? Bob and Jill and Steve and Tom and Harry are all coming over. We're all going to watch a movie. Harry hates it, But Jill and Steve thought it was so amazing that they ran out and bought their own copy to put on their shelf. That's what they don't get. They're so stupid that they only see like this much.
You guys should check out our other video on not consuming this cultural tripe.
Yeah, it's part of the Six Strikes. What's it called? The Six Strikes Against the Six Strike Plan.
Yeah, take back our culture. We have plenty of culture. We have the connectivity. You can do amazing things.
Now, speaking of ways to share our culture, the Pirate Bay is doing something very interesting for artists. They're allowing you guys to upload your music, and you can do it in a number of different ways, and then they will promote you on their site. They call it the Promotion Bay, but it's just piratebay.com/promote. And then check this out. You go on here, the Promo Bay, and let me scroll down here. So you see here, you can just put your name and your email address, and then a URL to your doodle image, which, little image for your thing, and then your site. Now, what's interesting about your site, you can either link a torrent. If you have a band and you want to just spread it to everyone, you can link it there so people can discover you. It's all about discovery and sharing. Or you can link even your Bandcamp page. So you don't even have to link a torrent. You can link a Bandcamp page and then make money from people discovering you. So that's what the Pirate Bay is doing right now. I think that's pretty interesting. But that is indicative of what we've been saying for months and months and months, that artists are very interested in sharing what they make because they know if enough of the audience is aware that they are alive, even if they acquire it through, illicit means, or even if they acquire their, find out about their movie or their music by downloading a torrent for free, they're still going to make money because the more people that know about it, the more chances they have to make money. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me, but these sociopaths in suits are out to put us all in jail or fine us $100,000.
Yeah. Well, let's move on from there into and let's talk about Mega right now because Kim.com has always got crazy stuff going on, and right now there is a mega fiasco going on. He had me.ga, which is from Gabon. Is that how you say that? Gabon,
I think.
Gabon?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. We'll call it. It's pronounced just like Gaben, like Gabe Newell. Gibbon? I don't know.
Gaben's own country.
Jesus. Yep. He should have his own planet. So he registered me.ga, and then the government there said, no, we're going to keep that. Well, Kim.com immediately tweeted, the reach of the U.S. and Vivendi. Gaben minister announced me.ga domain will be suspended, calls cloud storage site cyber crime. So he immediately linked it to the U.S. and Vivendi. Of course. That's because, the U.S. deals with that country. That country produces a lot of oil, and 60% of that oil goes to America, so there's some ties there. But here's the interesting thing here. A bunch of hackers now say that they have control of this domain. So I guess they took it from the government or whatever. They have control of this domain, and they're willing to sell it to people who hate Kim.com, like Hollywood. They're willing to sell it to Hollywood. The funny thing with this here is that this... the group that they call themselves Real Pirates. Here's why they hate Kim.com. They say Kim.com is taking advantage of us all. He's a megalomaniac with lawyers here to take advantage of us all, the newbies, the artists. He wants profit from them. So you hackers, pirates, whatever you guys call yourself, you say that the noobs, he's taking advantage of the noobs and the artists, and you've cited him for, he's trying to take all their money. Well, why aren't you guys pissed off at sites like Bandcamp and that sort of thing? It doesn't really make that much sense to me. And of course, Kim.com is making some money off this. He's providing a service. But when you compare this to the music industry, for every $1,000 that an artist that's signed with a major label, for every $1,000 of music that they sell, they get to keep $23.40. That's the average. Now, for every $1,000 of music that they're going to sell through Kim.com's Megabox, they're going to get to keep $900. $23.40, $900. So how is he taking advantage of them, and why would you want to sell me.ga to Hollywood or to the guys who hate him? You know what I mean? Like you said, you're willing to sell it for like $1 million. It sounds like you guys are bastards and you're just trying to make $1 million. That's what it sounds like to me. And yeah, who knows what will happen?
Or they were already working for the industry.
Oh yeah, I never even thought about it. It could be an inside thing. Could be inside the industry.
Yeah. Those guys are, they're sociopathic. They are above the law and all that.
Yeah, chaotic evil.
Yep.
We're chaotic neutral around here. Let's talk about hardware, about something good going on in the world. NVIDIA is thinking about integrating ARM processors into future Tesla products.
That would be really neat. Well, it means that games could load custom modules that do really, really insane interaction.
Right.
So, like in terms of like environmental physics and things like that, you could do crazy stuff.
Why don't they put an ARM processor on like a GPU? That would be amazing as well. incredibly amazing. The one thing that's interesting about Tesla is that Tesla products already work in a way that's very similar to ARM processors. It's similar to RISC. They're just like, they're great for rendering, they're great for number crunching. There's not a lot of overhead, they're not complicated at all. It's totally different than x86, and so it's really cool that they were going to have a separate dedicated ARM processor on board. There's a lot of things they can do with it. They didn't say when, they said sometime in the next decade. Could be as soon as 2015. So that'll be pretty cool. This is pretty cool news. There's a lot of motherboards out there that'll have the Sata slot, and that is something that you use for caching. You see them on a lot of modern laptops, but also on a lot of the premium motherboards. Mushkin has debuted the world's fastest Sata drive. It's 30 gigabytes, and the read and write on that is 555 and 365 megabytes per second. So really fast. The IOPS, 92,000 and 70,000 for read and write. That is crazy.
That is really nice if you've got a motherboard with the Sata slot.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got a motherboard that offers caching, like a Z77 or something like that, you'll be better off getting like a 60 gigabyte drive and plugging that in for caching, because you'll have more cache, and more is going to be better.
And you can probably also get a little bit faster drive too with SATA 6.
Yeah, with SATA 6 you can get something that's like 500, or 550, or something crazy like that. I've got a review coming up for the 8 data drive. This thing just like broke the record here in the studio. Just want to give this thing a quick plug because we got this thing and it broke the record. I recommend the Kingston all the time. This thing is like identical to the Kingston in the same firmware, the same parts on the inside. But I guess they must have gotten like something a little bit special in this drive, because the IOPS were like 10,000 higher, and the speed of the drive, like read and write, was like 4 or 5 megabytes faster. It's that close because they're so similar. But so I'm endorsing right now the SX900. It's the XPG series, which is the extreme performance grade stuff. I don't know. It's the 256 gigabyte version, was quite a bit faster than the 120. Talk about gaming. Origin. I know you guys love Origin. I get so many emails from the audience that says, oh man, I wish Steam was more like Origin. I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. Origin is just amazing. Well, they've done something that's actually kind of interesting. That was facetious, by the way. And there's going to be one guy that's like, you're an idiot. I'm going to write you an email, you're an idiot.
Origin is terrible.
Yeah, it's really bad. But they've done something that's kind of interesting. It looks like they're trying to take care of people or put some money in their pocket, or one or the other. But they've partnered with Twitch, which is the broadcasting service. You can stream your video games. And now you can stream any game, Origin games and third-party games that are not part of the Origin platform. You can stream any game easily using Origin. It's going to tax the hell out of your CPU, so just note that. It does render on the CPU, but you essentially log into Origin, it makes a connection with Twitch, and then you can start streaming and broadcasting. I'm not sure if this is going to be as fancy as XSplit. I'm probably not even going to try it, because it's Origin, and it's going to be a headache every time I see that stupid logo. I get upset. I don't want to be upset, but if you guys want to try and let me know how it is, by all means. So it's kind of cool to see that there are some options out there. If some of you guys think XSplit is too complicated, you don't want to use XSplit, or you don't want to use Wirecast, because Wirecast is really complicated. But it's also interesting that they'll allow you to stream any game, whether it's on Origin or not. So I guess they're trying to do something cool there. I just have a hard time believing in anything Origin does, because it's been such a load of garbage so far. But you never know. Let's talk about the Elder Scrolls Online. They've released a new online introductory video, and this is actually looking kind of cool. I'm a huge Elder Scrolls fan. I've been playing since like the Elder Scrolls Arena, Daggerfall. I even played Redguard. Did you play Redguard?
I never did.
Redguard was interesting and had a totally different like combat system with like, you parry and all this stuff. It was a different kind of game. It was third person, but it was pretty back in the day. I played that game as well. I played them all. I'm not sure if I'm going to play the Elder Scrolls Online, because I don't like MMOs. I would have rather, I think, played an online, like, smaller multiplayer version where just you and, like, 5 of your friends could play, instead of having a totally multiplayer world. But I don't know. You guys take a look at the video. It outlines a lot, and it's actually looking pretty good. I mean, the graphics look really good. It's as good as Skyrim almost, so it's looking pretty promising. I don't know much about MMOs, so I'll just let you guys do the, take a look at it and make your own decisions. But one thing I do want to talk about here is a total conversion mod for Skyrim called Enderall. Now, Enderall is a sequel to Nehrim, and Nehrim is one of my favorite games of all time, so I did want to highlight this in the video. It's a mod team out of Germany, and they make everything is in German. Did you play Nehrim by chance?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Nehrim was amazing. It was a lot nerdier than Oblivion. It's a mod for Oblivion, but it's a different world. It's not the Elder Scrolls. It has nothing to do. Let me just open up some of these pictures so you guys see the screenshots. It has nothing to do with the Elder Scrolls. It's a new world, a new storyline. These guys did a hell of a job in the last game of telling a story, and it's in German, so just get used to the German and you read the subtitles. It's really funny. The voice acting was great. It was just a really good game. Now, the reason I say it's nerdier is that there's no fast travel, which I thought I was going to have a problem with at first, but it was so immersive that as I'm going from point A to point B, that's like a, real life 10-minute walk, I would find 10 really cool things to distract me on the way. I'm like, what's this house over there? Why is that on fire? I'm going to go over and check it out. So I'm going to recommend that you guys keep an eye on this game, especially if you're a fan of Skyrim, but you want something a little nerdier. And a lot of the things from Skyrim came from Nehrim, like hunting, the whole hunting thing, that came from Nehrim. They did it first. Tanning leather and like being able to craft your own weapons and stuff, they did that better in Nehrim than just about any game I've seen. And now, what do you know, it's in Skyrim. So a lot of the nerdy elements from Nehrim did make their way into Skyrim. One other thing I like about it is it has a more traditional XP gathering system, whereas you get a fixed amount of XP depending on what kind of creature you kill, and you don't level up based on your skills at all. So as you get higher level, it's really difficult to level up. And the other thing I like is the enemies are not leveled at all. If you go into a dungeon that's like level 15 and all the enemies are badass and you're level 2, you're dead. And like the other Elder Scrolls games, it's like they bring the enemies down and up based on the current level of your character. And I never liked that. It's kind of cool to walk into a dungeon and then get your ass kicked and be like, oh God, and you run for your life. And then, like 3 days later, you're like, wait a minute, I'm level 15 now. I'm going to walk back in there and kick their ass. That's a good feeling. And I missed that from the Elder Scrolls games. So really nerdy game. Keep an eye on it. There's an article on Tech Syndicate. And that's just about all for today.
When you say nerdy, I keep thinking like NetHack, and it's like, ooh.
No, not that nerdy.
Let's implement NetHack with the Skyrim engine. That would be amazing. I'll get that started on GitHub right now.
Anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for donating on the chip-in. Someone sent me an email the other day and said, hey, is the chip-in going to end in December? I can extend it. I mean, we're at 3,000 right now out of our goal. I just set it a random goal because that'll just give you guys a way to give back, and you guys have been so awesome. So thank you very much for helping us out. We had a little snafu this month, but we'll be better next month. We lost a couple $1,000.
Oops. Theft by taking. Honest to God.
So yeah, we're kind of hurting right now, but that doesn't mean you guys should donate extra. Don't donate because we're hurting. Donate because you like the content and you want to see more of it. That's the only reason you should donate. Someone else has been asking for a subscription system, and people have been going back and forth. Well, we're going to create one so that you guys can pick. If you want to give $3 or $4 or $5 or whatever dollars per month, you can do that, and that way it'll ensure that we always are able to continue to create amazing content and not rely on the ads, because the ad money comes and goes.
The subscription system should be done pretty soon.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I just got to go do some business stuff downtown, for that to happen. And guys, when you subscribe, I'm not going to make like separate content just for the subscribers. You guys are going to get a badge and a handshake and maybe a high five, and I don't know, but you're not going to get separate content. I want to make sure that everyone gets the same content. You're going to get to know that you're helping out the community.
Everyone will know you donated.
Yes. And you'll be awesome. That's pretty much it for this week. If you guys have questions, inbox at techsyndicate.com. So, this is empty.
It was empty like 30 minutes ago.
No, I better go do something about that. See you guys next time.